Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. Today, as you saw, I'm going to continue on with that winter wonderland theme. As we move over from Christmas, I'm using some of these Christmas ornaments that I had. I got that box at Walmart. You may be able to find it on clearance. So I just took a little bit of wood filler and filled in the hole. You could also use some of those white deer ornaments. I just saw them still at the Dollar Tree on clearance there for 50 cents. So I took some cardstock and I measured it on the back of this frame that I also got at Dollar Tree and trimmed that down to fit inside. You could definitely pop the back off if you like to do that back. Now I'll just sand that wood filler. It doesn't take too long to dry. And I decided to use my Posca paint marker. I got those on Amazon if you're interested in them. I did notice that I needed just a little bit more wood filler on those. I didn't quite get enough. So I added a little bit more and then continued to paint them. Now I eventually go on and just cover them with chalk paint. So I could have went over and done another coat, with the paint pen, but I decided just to do chalk paint. And I have one of these little white Christmas trees, and I'm going to trim the back off just a little bit so it lays flat against the back of the frame. The white chalk paint that I just took over because I decided to do the edges also. And then I just took my dry brush and I decided to fling a little bit of that paint, and in the background that made a little bit of snow on the white. Now I'm taking a piece of just white cardstock and I'm going to make a couple of hills. So I grabbed a couple of round objects, just trace those, and then cut them out again to fit the frame. You can kind of just rub on the sides of the frame, and that helps you get, the real close to the inside of the frame. A little bit of a rub on there. And then I'm going to use one of those automotive cloths. They're real soft and fuzzy, as you've seen me use those for snow before. So I'm just going to hot glue that. Now you could adhere it to the paper first off. I did try that way and decided I wanted to do it this way instead. So now I will just glue down that cardstock and just adhere the paper and mold it around this cardstock. Continue to hot glue it to the paper and trim it as I go along just to make these couple of hills. I use my scissors, whatever you need to just mold this in there. Enjoying this, I hope that you'll hit that like button and subscribe to see what other decor I have coming up next. You'll want to just continue to trim and make this a finished edge along the sides of the frame. I'm just going to fit that tree in there that we had clipped down. There's just a little bit sticking out there, so I trim that off, give it some hot glue behind it and underneath the snow, and just hold that in place until it adheres well. now I'll figure out how I want to apply the deer. So I'm going to put one on this hill and then move this one around until I find the spot that I like. This is really a three-dimensional art piece. You have the hills, you have the deer, you have the trees. It has so many different layers to it that I don't know if the camera does it justice. So I'm going to put this deer here, and I took a spare piece, and you just keep fraying around the edges and it looks more like real snow, and just keep fraying it till it looks right, and clip it around and give it a little bit of glue. Just feels like it still needs something. It's trying to decide, what else it might need. And you could definitely stop right here. You could add, other little ice plants that you might have. I would continue with the white theme though. But I didn't have a small white tree, so I cut the top off of the other tree, and then the little bristles are just right in between the wires, so I just pulled those out to make a smaller tree. And this is a stand it was on, and I just clipped around it so that I could make a little stand for it so that it stood up just a little bit better and made it sturdier at the bottom of the frame. Been better to clip off a little bit of the back of this tree as well to make it sit back a little bit better, but it really just sat in there pretty well. I'm going to fray up another little scrap piece that I had clipped off before, and you just keep trimming it till it looks right and makes a little snow mound. Decided it was missing just a little bit of something. The wood was just a little bit darker than I wanted, so I'm just dry brushing a little bit of white over the frame. And this is very little paint, just a little bit. As you can see, I keep tapping it off on the paper, and just a little bit of white dry brush I think makes this fit in just a little bit better. It is just a really simple project. Again, I think anyone can do this. Didn't this turn out nice? It continues on with our winter theme, yet you can still incorporate some of the things that you had out for Christmas. I hope that you've enjoyed and you will like and possibly subscribe to my channel. Thank you.